Let's not act like Diddy wasted 10 years of her life. I don't believe that she was a prisoner. What's up, world? Lonnie Appleton here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you're not receiving notifications, click the bell. Thank you so much. And I wanted to hop in really quickly because I just saw a meme. I will post it somewhere in here where you can see me and see the meme at the same time. It pretty much is talking about how Cassie, the singer actress Cassie, if you're not familiar with her, she was with Diddy, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy for about 10 years. I'm sure he has had all three names during the time that he was with her. They were together for a long time. And people are saying that he wasted her time and she needs to reclaim her time. Reclaim your time, sis. Don't let nobody waste your time. And I received a couple of things from the meme. First and foremost, I won't say that I 100% disagree with the meme because there are men out here who are wasting your time. And hey, I'll speak to the fellas too. There's some women out here who are wasting your time. And so you have to use your spirit to discern if your time is being wasted. And I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. A part of the premise of As the Apple Turns, and this is my own agenda, it has nothing to do with the rest of the family, is I am a knowledge sharer. I'm a teacher by profession. And there's a lot of us out there, myself included, who did not have anyone to talk to, who did not have a mentor, who did not have someone around. Yes, there were elders around. This isn't my situation. My elders who were around did not share knowledge. And it may not be that they didn't have it. It may not be that they didn't want to share. It may be that I just didn't ask the right questions. But there's people out there who don't have people to speak to. There's people out there who have elders around them, but they don't have the knowledge. They're operating with the same level of intelligence and knowledge that the person who has the question has. So a part of my mission with As the Apple Turns is to share knowledge, to be that mentor, to be that voice where a young lady or a young man may come across one of our videos and they're like, oh, okay. And they shift and change. With that said, I really dislike the meme in the respect that it just continues to enforce the narrative that every little girl's goal in life is to be somebody's wife and have somebody's baby. Lord Jesus, being somebody's wife, I mean, that cannot be your end all goal. Having a baby, that cannot be your end all goal. There has to be more to a woman's experience. And I think that narrative is damaging, and it has young ladies trying to rush to be in relationships when they don't even know what it is. I've been in several relationships in my life, and I didn't finally accept, well, I've accepted a couple of rings because, oh, I got a ring, but I didn't follow through with it until my spirit allowed me to do it. And that's what we're going to touch on later. But we have these young girls who are dating anybody, anytime they get here. When I tell y'all, and nothing against men with a short arm, but I have talked to a dude with a short arm. I was so desperate for a relationship. Yeah, yes. So it just reinforces that girls need the attention of guys. And we're not complete unless we're receiving the attention of a man. And furthermore, we're not complete unless that man wants to commit to us. We're not complete unless we're popping out a baby. And that is a false narrative. And I want all young ladies who come across this message to stop falling into that narrative. I tell my kids don't have kids at all. But, hey, I'll be a grandma. I'll just be a grandma. Shoot, I'll be I won't be a granny. No, I'm not interested in being a granny. But I'll definitely be a grandma. I want some, some little ones. But I don't need no uncle brothers. And what that means is I have an 8-month-old. I have a stepson he's in his 20s. So he can start popping out babies without any consequences as far as a stern look from mom and dad and stepmom. But that baby would be Buckets and Bubby's uncle brother. They'll be the uncle and the brother. So Please wait to have these babies. We're already raising 2 babies. Who knows why the 40-year-olds had babies, but we did. I'm not 40 yet, but I might as well be. I'm going to be 60 after graduation. Like, oh, that's my baby. They're going to be like, is that your grandma and grandpa? And they're like, no, that's my mom and dad. But we found each other late in life. Anyway, so yeah, ladies, young ladies, fellas, stop falling into the narrative that you're not complete unless you're married, unless you're with a guy, unless you're with a girl, unless you're having somebody's baby. And that's why there's so many blended families out there. There's so many broken homes out there. And there's so many young girls out here raising babies by themselves because they fell into the false narrative of, I'm no one until I'm somebody's mama. Oh, he loves me, I want to pop a baby out. And when I tell you in my 20s, I was dealing with this guy. He was older. We don't need those details. Anyway, I just liked him. And when I tell stories, I talk to Dre this way. So if you guys feel I'm being disrespectful to my husband by reflecting on my past, I reflect on my past with my husband. He knows a lot of these stories, but I have to tell my life story in order to help share the knowledge that I want to share. With that said, I was with this guy and I was so smitten by him. I won't say I was in love, because now that I know what love is, I wasn't in love with him. But I just was all about this dude. And one day I was like, you know what? If I was young and dumb, I would have your baby. I said that because, again, that's that false narrative that you find someone you're totally into and you're digging them, let's have a baby. You know, let's make a baby. Let's go half on a baby, right? Halvesies. Okay, we'll go halvesies. So, I dislike that part of the meme. All right, get that out of there. Now, another part that I wanted to touch on is, how do we know Cassie wasn't just living her best life for the past 10 years? Like, for real, she has been living her best life. Aside from her emotional state, her spiritual state, and whatever was going on internally, on the outside world, Cassie was living her best life. So let's not act like Diddy wasted 10 years of her life. Cassie did exactly what she wanted to do. I don't believe that she was a prisoner, and she could have got out of that relationship at any time. She was getting out of the relationship exactly what she wanted to at that time. Now, did her goals and her position change? Clearly they did. And at that time, she made a different choice for herself. And that's what I want to touch on. Don't allow society to force you into a situation or a position you're not ready to be in. If you want to be out here free, living your best life, having a hot girl summer, then you be out here free, live your best life, and have a hot girl summer. And I don't know what it is for fall, but you do that too. You do what makes you happy. Don't let society shame you just because what you want for your life is different than what society tells you you're supposed to want for your life. Be at peace. Just be at peace with your life choices. There's a lot of things that I did in my past that society tried to shame me on. My husband's ex tries to point out the fact that I have children by 3 different men, and that somehow just makes me less of a woman than her. Those are my choices, and I'm not ashamed of any choices. Do I wish the circumstances were different? Of course. But those were my choices, and I'm not ashamed of one choice I've ever made in my life. But something I wanted to touch on is divine alignment and divine timing. Cassie and Alexis, both of their paths had to cross when they crossed. And I tell this to Dre all the time because he's like, why didn't we? Because those of you who don't know, me and Dre have known each other since 2010, but we didn't get together until 2016. And he always says, man, we should have connected years ago. And I'm like, dude, if we would have got together years ago, we'd be broken up already, because I wasn't ready for you and you weren't ready for me. And for people to say that Diddy wasted 10 years of her life, Cassie wasn't ready for Alexis and Alexis wasn't ready for her. And if we want to talk about the spiritual aspect of it, that baby wasn't meant to be conceived between Cassie and Diddy. That baby's spirit needed to be conceived in the time that it was conceived, in the space that it was conceived, in the love that it was conceived between Alexis and Cassie. So could Cassie have had a baby in those past 10 years? I'm sure having a baby is not difficult. And I don't mean that to anyone who cannot have children. I just mean my second child, I got pregnant the first time I had sex. So clearly, when these babies want to come, they will come. Divine timing. Things ain't gonna pop off till it's time to pop off. So you can sit and watch that pot boil all you want to, but it's not going to happen until it's supposed to happen. And that's a point that I think a lot of people miss, because they're like, oh, it's been 10 years and yada, yada, yada. It's not going to happen until it's supposed to happen. But with that said, let's talk goals. Now, I don't know what Cassie's goals were. I don't know what Diddy's goals were. Well, we know what Diddy's goals are. He's just out here, you know, he's being fruitful and multiplying, but he ain't marrying nobody. The point that I want to make is, if you are with someone and your goals don't align, you're wasting your time. In that respect, I agree with the meme. If you're with someone and your goals don't align, then somebody's wasting somebody's time. And somebody got to go. And you sitting there either trying to force their hand, oh, I'm pregnant, you know, and now this man got a kid he don't want. Now you're dealing with broken homes, you're dealing with unhappy relationships, you're dealing with all that comes with having a baby with a man who doesn't want to have a baby. And that can go bad real quickly. Forcing a man to marry you who doesn't want to marry you. I see these videos all the time of these chicks proposing to these men. Come on now, sis. We don't need to propose to men. It should never ever get to that point. I've been with him for 10 years and he ain't married me yet. Well, clearly you want to get married, but he don't. So leave. And I understand you done made some babies in that situation and you don't want them to be in a broken home, but guess what? They're already in a broken home. These kids are watching that dysfunction. These kids are living in the brokenness. Do you really think that a child is better off being in a relationship or being in a household that has a relationship where people don't like each other, where people aren't talking to each other, where people are cheating and out here creating babies with other people and doing all this other just craziness? You don't think your kids see that? You think that's better than just getting a divorce and moving on with your lives? If you think that's better for a child, then there's some evaluating. I'm sorry. So just have overall goals in mind when you're with somebody and your goals don't align with their goals. If that is your circumstances, and that could even be with a married couple. People grow apart. And I'm definitely not an advocate for divorce, and that's not what I'm advocating. But you know when it ain't right. And you owe it to yourself in this one life that we have to live to make it right. To make it right for you, to make it right for the children you've brought into this world, just to make your one life that you have to live your best life. And not your best life for the peripheral people looking on. I know we live in this social media age. We put our entire life on YouTube, but you can't fabricate a life and you can't continue a life that is not fulfilling to you, that makes you miserable. You do not want to touch your grave unfulfilled. And a part of that fulfillment is your relationship. So when I read this meme and I see Diddy wasted 10 years of her life and then she moved on in a year, she had a baby and she's married, that was her life path. That was her choice. She hooked up with an individual in the time that she was supposed to hook up, and the rest is history. And that is what happened with me and Dre. We hooked up and we took off. Cassie and Alexis hooked up and they took off. Sierra and Russell hooked up and they took off. Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats hooked up and they took off. So if you are with someone and you are not taking off, then your relationship has been indefinitely grounded and you need to reevaluate your whole situation. And that is okay. That is okay. The only L that you're taking is the lesson. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, yeah.